I got my beer out. I'm ready to go. Almost forgot it. I had to put the mic down and go grab it out of the fridge.
You're listening to Dots, Lines, and Destinations, a travel podcast with hosts Stephen Seagraves, Foz Mamoon, and Seth Miller.
Hello, and welcome to episode 435 of Dots, Lines, and Destinations. I'm Stephen Seagraves, joined by Seth Miller and Foz Mamoon. Hey, guys.
Good day. Howdy.
It's a little, we're like 9-hour time difference today. Seth's in
Poland.
Foz is on the east coast of the United States, and I'm on the west coast. So it's this is like taking a work call for me.
And it's Monday.
Yeah, and it is a Monday, and we're recording this on Monday. So yeah.
It's slightly different than my typical work call because I have a beer.
That would make my work calls a little better sometimes.
I had no idea that this town was so. There's apparently goats on top of the clock tower here.
Really?
Yeah, they like butt heads a couple times a day. Or so I've seen statues. I haven't actually seen them butting heads, but so I realized I got a local beer. It's got a goat on the label drinking its beer.
Yeah. Wow. That's wow. How are you liking Posen so far? I mean, we'll talk about it in the bonus, I guess.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Can't complain. It's a cute little old town. There's a ton of construction still.
Yeah. Were they rebuilding like a sewer system or something?
They're redoing all the like plumbing, sewer, water stuff in the main square. And so like it's dusty, messy, sandy, whatever. But
Yeah. Let's talk Lufthansa Group. They are looks like they're going to finalize the deal with ITA.
They have come to an agreement, and so it's $330-ish million for the first 40%, and then options on the remaining amount, and the options depend on the actual performance of the carrier. So, and I don't know the details of which direction that goes, but one of the interesting things I thought about this is that it appears they have options to own a full 100%.
Really?
So, yeah, and in the time, in the conversations leading up to this, it was sort of they get to 90%, they get to, some number, maybe there's a golden share kind of thing that the Italian government would still own. But I have not seen any mention of any of that in all this conversation. So it seems like we may, before this decade is through, come to an era where the Italian government no longer owns an airline.
I mean, it would be a good day for Italy.
Financially, certainly.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of why.
And actually, and probably travel-wise also.
I mean, the 100% thing is weird to me that they're willing to like capitulate or give it up based on the terms. Like that's yeah. And did they get more A350s out of this? Lufthansa did.
So separate from that, they also signed a deal to pick up they're buying 4 more A350-900s from a lessor management company, broker or something. So these are used planes. They were pretty aggressive about not saying what the prior owner was or giving MSNs or anything like that. So I mean, eventually we'll know, obviously. And I tried to explain that to the person I was emailing. I'm like, I'm going to find out eventually. Why won't you just tell me? And he was not swayed by my what I thought was incredibly compelling debate points. But
I thought I read somewhere that they might be ex-Latam.
So at one point, I thought that as well. They had been reported as ex-Latam, and there was a report a couple months ago that some ex-Latam birds were being negotiated for this. Someone also said that there might be one of the challenges is I can't find what planes this lessor owns. There's one tail number from a Latam one that's sort of showing on some of the tracking websites as pending transfer with a D- registration, but I can't find what the planes are yet. So the other interesting thing about that, though, is the question that their comms team did answer said, okay, well, I assume then that they'll enter service as is today, and then they'll get the Allegris cabin installed eventually, right? And got a strong, we won't comment on what the future configuration of these planes will be, which on the one hand, fine, you don't want to talk to me. I get it. But on the other hand, not committing that these will get the Allegris at some point, which is like the new brand standard for Lufthansa Group or for Lufthansa and Swiss, that seems super strange. I'm sure they will, but it was weird the way that response came back.
New cabin design, all Y, all 29-inch pitch.
All Recaro slimline with the lesser padding.
No headrest. For domestic use only.
We're going to do 10 abreast, right? I mean...
And 3 labs. That's it.
Well, it could be... I mean, You basically just described what eventually will be the Indigo 777 300ERs.
Yeah, I mean,
They're talking about 500 seats on those.
oh my God.
500 plus, like one row of business and then 10 abreast, nose to tail.
What you're telling me is we never needed the A380.
If you don't need the passengers to be comfortable, that's correct.
I mean, the part I don't understand with Lufthansa is they're always cagey with this stuff. And then they try to make a big deal about what they're doing, but then they come out with like half-baked plans for their cabins. Like it feels that way, at least. Like the Allegra, I don't remember what it's called. Pre-Allegris cabin design configuration. Remember they were talking about the new business seat? They weren't talking about F at all. And then it came out and people were like, meh. And then they finally introduced the new F cabin on the 77X. And people are like, oh, okay, that's fine. It just seems like they try to make a big deal, but then like it's like 10 years off.
Yeah. I mean, they did expect the 777X to be delivered with the new business class, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like Boeing initially promised. I talked to Tim Clark last week. He was like, yeah, late, I think he said October of 25 is about when we should get ours. And they're supposed to get it before. Like, that's just a debacle. To the point that Lufthansa's like literally skipped a generation of cabin design.
Yeah. What do you, I mean, from the perspective of these A350s, I mean, we assume they go to Lufthansa, right? We've had this discussion before. We assume they go to Lufthansa, but they could go to anyone in the group too.
The way this was written, I believe it was for Lufthansa.
Okay.
The release, I still have that tab open. I'm pretty sure the release came from.
That's no big deal. I mean,
it was Lufthansa Group, but it's that's the wrong release. It was, I believe, Lufthansa, not Deutsche Lufthansa, right? The group versus the whatever.
Yeah.
Lufthansa also has to invest $250 million euro into ITA, and the government is going to invest some too.
Okay, so let's go back to the ITA thing.
Oh, sorry, I got that backwards. Lufthansa's purchase is a capital increase of $325 million. The Ministry of Economics and Finance is going to invest another $250 million, and then eventually sell it.
So let's go back to that, right? $250 million investment that the government has to make, and Lufthansa puts in $325 million. With 40% control, does Lufthansa get a say on schedules at that point? Like, what does the Lufthansa get to control? Because if there's certain aspects where they don't get to control where they fly or fares or anything like that, I don't know that this is successful for them.
I think they basically take over.
Okay.
Come on, they'll walk in and be the adults in the room.
You want to fly to where? No, that's not.
Right. Quote, here's a quote. Upon closing of this transaction, ITA and Lufthansa Group are expected to immediately start their cooperation at a commercial and operational level. As a network airline, ITA will closely cooperate with Lufthansa Group to benefit from group synergies. End quote.
So we're not at risk of them flying to Baton Rouge from Rome.
Flag stop in Toronto, Fifth Freedom, so it'll be fine. No, take that back. Why don't we make it Halifax?
Yeah, Halifax. There we go.
Gander. Why Halifax?
The first ITA A330neo was delivered too. Speaking of ITA.
Yeah. So Lufthansa Group now owns an A330neo.
Or 40% one.
40%, that's fair. It is interesting that the release, just going back to the end of it, that the release mentions how the Rome hub is ideally situated to further diversify ITA's network towards Africa and Latin America. Which, given the historical suggestion that Milan was really where the hub needed to be, the reiterating that Rome is a focus is a little surprising. I don't know.
Doubling down.
Yeah. And they're going to have a partnership with Trenitalia. Similar to the one they have with Deutsche Bahn and the Austrian and Swiss railroads.
Rome kind of makes sense because it's a much bigger airport and it's got much more extensive facilities, particularly with the new stuff they've built since the fire.
Compared to Malpensa?
Yeah. Malpensa's dated.
Yeah. Oh, I flew out of there, on my trip last month, that other absurd thing I did 2 months ago now. And I walked in, I was like, God, how old is this terminal? It's actually not that old. It's like from the 90s.
It looks like it was built in the 60s or 70s.
I agree. And I went for multiple verifications because I didn't believe it, but it's not that old.
But I mean, with Rome, right? Because of that extensive fire, they rebuilt a large portion of that airport.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, I think my surprise is on that and the questions on that have always been which one has the business traffic. And, Milan is considered the business hub of Italy, and Rome is the tourist and cultural hub. And so how do you balance that when you're running an airline? And maybe they will, maybe they won't.
I mean, I guess the difference would be if you can fly out of Linate instead of Malpensa, maybe those people are willing to connect in Rome.
Because it's closer to the city?
Yeah.
That airport, I mean, it does look rough.
Are you looking at Malpensa?
Yeah.
No, it looks like a brutalist 1960s architecture. Somehow they built that in the 1990s.
I mean, it looks like Newark B.
So they built it in the 90s, but they designed it in the 70s, and the prints were just sitting there.
Makes about as much sense as anything else.
Yeah, that's funny. So they got a new 330neo. I can't tell what kind of business class they have, though. Is it nice? Can't even tell what kind of coach they have.
It's fine. It's not bog standard, but it's a typical 121 up front, 242 in the back. The product is not bad right now.
Gotcha.
But hopefully with as fast as the adults in the room, they'll actually continue to do that.
Yeah. Tell me about Ethiopians upgrading their 787 cabin.
So I was at Future Travel Experience Conference in Dublin last week, which was a fun little get together. Mostly focused on European and African airlines, and then also some ancillary revenue stuff. So a few interesting stories that came out of it. But it's a small conference that happens to get a few CEOs, and one of them was the group CEO from Ethiopian. So he was willing to chat a little bit, and he mentioned, in talking about, they actually made money during COVID. They're one of the few airlines that didn't have a down year. Their cargo operation kept running. I thought that was super interesting. But he mentioned that they recognize their original 787 delivery business class cabin is basically garbage. It's angle flat 222s.
Yep.
And so they're going to retrofit it to match the new deliveries, which is a 121, much nicer product. But it's funny, I sort of asked him about it, he's like, and he's speaking, translating through multiple languages. I get it, but very deliberate, very sweet about it. He's like, my passengers, they get on a plane, the new plane, and they're like, this is what business class is supposed to be. And then the next day they get on the old plane and they're like, what is this? Give me my money back. We can't have that. And the way I should find the audio. I have recorded it. I'm not sure if it's good enough quality to play it in the podcast. I'll see if I can find it. But it was pretty great.
If you compare, last week we received one Boeing 787-900 brand new from Boeing. If you see the cabin, the business class is 121.
Okay.
Means every customer will have active flight.
Okay.
If you take the first 787 aircraft, the configuration is 222. So it's not the best. Secondly, the first aircraft doesn't have fully flat seats. It is angled flat.
Okay.
Now we want you to customers when they fly on us one day, they fly with the aircraft, they say, this is a great business class. When they fly, no, you have to bring my money back.
So
all of his passengers are bloggers?
Apparently.
Wait, you can ask for your money back if you don't get the seat? That's my takeaway.
He didn't say he was giving it to them. He just said that they were asking. Bad news, though, it's going to be 2025 before they can get it done.
Oh, wow. Is there that much of a backlog on seats?
Apparently, between manufacturing and Boeing delivering the technical certification package, yeah. So supply chain engineering, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So he's disappointed at that, but there you go. Fly their A350s if you want to be guaranteed the better product.
Frontier is starting to sell status on their competitor co-brand card to their competitor co-brand card holders. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, I didn't know how else to phrase it. Officially, this is a status match based not on holding status, but holding a points earning credit card. And they're validating by using the first 6 digits, which is basically bank and product. Right? The first 6 digits of your credit card number define the bank that issues it and what type of card it is.
Okay.
So they've got a list of valid cards, and it's basically anything that earns points. And if you have that, you can get a status match on Frontier through the summer. If you fly 5,000 miles or spend $5,000 on their credit card, that extends through the end of the year. And it's the 20K status is their bottom tier, but it gets you a free carry-on bag and free seat assignment in advance and free extra legroom seats at time of check-in. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but you have to pay. It's a paid status challenge match. And there's actually 2 tiers. There's a cheap one that you get it, and then you do the challenge with the 5,000 miles or $5,000 spent on the card. Or you can just, I think it's $500 or something like that, and you just get the status for the summer. Or maybe it's $200. It's $200 for the challenge, with the first 2,000 people getting it for $80, which is a weird discount number. And then the bigger one is, I want to say it's $400 or $500, $300, something like that. You pay more. I'm double checking while we're talking here. And get the status through the end of the year without having to do the challenge. So,
what does it get you? Like, what does status earn you?
Yeah, like it's free carry-on bag, which they typically charge for, which can be $50 or $60 a flight in my experience.
Okay.
I did that a couple weeks ago. Free advanced seat assignment, which not necessarily every seat, but call it $20-ish if you're flying. Right. There is real value there. The part that's amusing to me is that they're calling it a status match when in reality they're selling it.
Yeah.
And you can get, it's $500 for the non-challenge version, where you just get it through the end of the year.
So, Foz, is this your next, you're chasing this status next? Is that...
No. Even though they fly to Trenton, no.
But then you could also buy the Go Wild Pass for another $500, and for basically $700 through September 30th, you could fly for quote-unquote free anywhere in their network.
Except I don't really want to fly during the summer.
Well, there's that. Smart man he is.
I like that. I like that Seth, like, he took it to the next level of not flying over the summer, and it's just like I'm going to Europe, and there's no like.
my version of not flying this summer is I'm just not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
To his credit, he's minimizing the amount he has to fly.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
He's like, I could take a train.
And I'm taking trains on most of my hops within.
Which I'm gonna be fascinated to hear about the trains, because I find the trains in the summer might be the worst I've ever seen, depending on who you're on, like Deutsche Bahn versus
Deutsche Bahn for all this.
ABB or whatever. So
OBB.
OBB, yeah. Thank you. Swag.
Ostrich. No, I'm on Deutsche Bahn from Poznan to Hamburg, and then from Hamburg to Copenhagen.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear how that is, because I bought one of those Eurail passes, or I guess Deutsche Bahn passes, and we ended up standing for like a 4-hour trip once.
Oh, yeah, but I also buy seat assignment because I'm not an idiot.
Shut up. Come on now.
It's like €4.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And actually, what I usually end up doing is, and this is sort of my MO with most travel, because I know I'm buying a seat assignment on Deutsche Bahn, usually the upgrade to first class on the non-refundable tickets that I'm buying anyways is like €15, and a seat assignment is like $5. So I usually end up upgrading to first class.
Yeah.
Because it includes a seat assignment.
Yes. Rub it in. Come on.
Then I'm smarter.
An Asiana passenger opened the exit door. Yes. He said he was feeling claustrophobic as they were on approach and final, and popped the door open.
So there's a lot going on there. One, we often talk about it's impossible to open a door while the plane is flying. Don't worry about it. That's at altitude.
They were low enough.
They were low enough that the pressure. So airplanes are pressurized typically between 6,000 and 8,000 feet. They were below that, so there was no pressure differential. Also, initially there was a claim like he just tapped it. He didn't really flip it and like the handle, but who knows? But also it raises a question. Some regulators require a flight attendant to be seated at every exit door, and most don't, because that's way more flight attendants than the sort of one per every 50 passenger standard. And I do wonder, like, Asiana stopped selling exit row seats as a result of this. I don't know if they've worked that back and what they're doing, but like, you need people sitting there, but you need them to not open it until it's time. So
to be clear, this was an A321.
Yes.
So it's an actual door, it's not the overwing.
Correct. It was the door aft of the wings. It was a class as the older configuration. The newer configuration does have overwing exits. The older config doesn't.
So I guess I'm trying to understand. It wouldn't have mattered if it was pressurized anyway, right? Because those open outward, right?
No, they come in a tiny bit and then pivot out.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
It's still a plug.
You still have to break the seal.
Yeah.
We learned from the MD-11.
Which I still think it's for him to say for people to say he tapped it. Like, you have to open the door.
He definitely opened it.
Yeah. Oh man, this sucks. I just hope it doesn't mean like we're gonna go through a big change where you can't even get these seats. So, I mean, is he gonna get a life in prison, or what's he gonna get for this?
Can't tell.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, Korean law is a little bit different. So, yeah. Wow. The Chinese new airplane, the C919, has entered service.
Yeah, all Chinese except not. No, listen, and the Boeing is also not all American, and the Airbus is not all European. So like we can dispense with that, but it is a relatively speaking clean sheet design from scratch Chinese. Right, the ARJ-21 was their last effort, and that was decidedly an MD-80 knockoff.
Yeah.
This one is not. Now, there's debate about what plants they stole from whom and where regarding other things, but industrial espionage is real. But they built the assembly lines, they did it all, and it's finally flying. It took longer than expected. It was sort of started flying, then stopped, and now it's back again. But yeah, it's real.
I mean, would you fly on it?
Yes.
Foz?
I mean, I'm not going to China anytime soon.
Not right now, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's really going to China. I actually watched a YouTuber talking about, he did a transit without visa recently through China, and I was like, no, I do that right now. So, and then Embraer had a bunch of deals. Who is SKS?
Some Malaysian airline.
Okay, and what they win? What kind of deal did they get?
SKS bought the E2 195s.
Okay.
Scoot, which is Singapore's regional short haul, long, whatever subsidiary, bought the 190 E2, which is bizarre to me.
Is this so they can get into, what was it, Phuket? One of those balls?
No, you're thinking of, it's the island in Thailand that it's like.
Koh Samui?
No, there's one that one of the Thai airlines basically built the terminal, and it's a tiny short airport. It's an island just south of Bangkok. I'm blanking on it now. Our friend Hendrik talks about it all the time. I'll see if I can find out what we're talking. Maybe they fly in there with A320s, I think, but the other airline does. But I'm just surprised that there's any airline given an option between a bigger and smaller frame versus what has to be approximately the same trip costs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Picking the smaller frame. I know it's fewer seats, so there's less pressure and whatever. But
is it because they can get it?
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think it needs to be that because the 195 E2s actually exist. I'm not sure the 190s are certified yet.
Gotcha. I just was thinking, is it because they can't get an A220 to save their life?
That could be. I mean, there's also a rumor flying around that came out this week that's Riyadh Air, the Saudi airline, is trying to, they announced a crazy wide body order a couple months ago. Now they're going to announce their narrow body order possibly at the Paris Air Show, and presumably it will be both Boeing and Airbus because most airlines choose to diversify that way. And there's the theory that they could get Boeing's much faster, and then they'll add the others in afterwards. Is it Hua Hin that's the super short runway?
I don't know. There was a story about, Singapore Air doesn't fly there because they don't have the planes to get in. And I thought it was you needed a smaller plane. So
yeah. Doesn't say how long the runway is. 7,000 foot runway, so it's pretty short, but not.
It might actually be Koh Samui.
Think so?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think Singapore flies there right now. Because Koh Samui is really short too.
Same. It might 7,000 feet.
Yeah, I think you can only do it with an A319 or something. So
yeah.
Anyway,
but yes, it would not surprise me to learn that the A220 delivery backlogs, which are running a little behind and whatever, is helping drive business elsewhere because they've just sold too many.
Yeah. And then Emirates, premium cabin, I guess premium economy.
It's premium economy. Yeah.
They're gonna get their own champagne. Sparkling wine.
Sparkling wine. It's Shandong, which you'd think is Moet Chandon from France, and yet it's not. It is a Australian sparkling wine.
Should we all buy a bottle and try it on the show?
If we could get it. It's an exclusive vintage. That's the other thing.
Oh.
Only place you can get this one is in premium economy on Emirates.
Oh, really?
So it was the spoiled batch they bought.
Apparently.
Premium.
Yeah. No, it's pretty silly. Yes. But
I wonder, like, is it a selling point for premium economy? Probably not. Like, it's a nice thing to have. I don't know why you can't just sell I guess the business class champagne is probably pricey.
Yeah. But is it the logistics of having one more item? Is that worth the little bit you're saving in money? Because you're actually going to spend a lot more in logistics of carrying it, catering it, and what have you.
Yeah, because you have to basically double cater it to some of your outstations. Yeah.
Yeah. Piece of cake.
Just put it in the cargo hold. It's fine. We fly A380s. Plenty of room.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting something that's under pressure, under constant additional pressure, and removing that. That's not going to go sideways at all.
And then I guess lastly, let's talk about British Airways having some flight issues in Florence.
Still going on, I assume.
Yeah. I think we talked about it a long time ago on the show. Or a long time ago. It could have been 2 months ago. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it was happening while I was in Italy, which was in mid-May or mid-April. I mean, but
so
yeah,
it's still happening, and they can't land can't take off because of the heat. Or the configuration of the runway.
It's the latter. Florence is a short runway, and one end of it has a mountain, or a hill, or something. There's a turn involved. It requires significant performance to get off the ground, and especially when the winds are blowing one direction, which is not entirely rare.
Yep.
And so everyone else flies smaller planes, and British Airways thought they can make it work. I thought they were mostly trying to bring in the Neo, which was supposed to have sufficient performance to get it off the ground there. But even that has apparently not worked out very well this year.
Until they divert to Pisa.
So they can't fly. They can't fuel up enough to get off the ground with enough fuel to make it to London, which is not that long a flight. So that says something. But yeah, in order to get off the ground quickly and whatever, on certain days, they have to basically, they take off, divert to Pisa, refuel there. Right, this is like the London City to Shannon to JFK.
Yeah, but on a domestic scale.
But some days they just say we're not even going to touch Florence. We're just going to go in and out of Pisa.
Do they?
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting a phone
everybody
call?
Over? You think they get a phone call? I can imagine you get told to check in like, oh, by the way, the last half hour of your flight is actually on a bus today. Good luck.
Well, I'm thinking of the other way. Though.
Yeah. Yeah, you show up at Florence and for check-in for your flight at 30 minutes before. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to bus you over, and the flight was supposed to leave. It's still leaving at the scheduled time, but just from Pisa. So you missed the bus. So we'll see you tomorrow. Like this, it seems like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Don't they have 319s?
We'll turn more seats.
Oh, God, come on, guys. Like,
this is probably where the 318 would be useful.
Yeah. Bring the 318 back. All business class configuration. Be great.
Nice.
Oh, man.
32 seats to Florence.
So my takeaway was we should get this line before we can't.
Which line? Which?
Well,
Pisa to Heathrow? Which one?
No,
Florence to Pisa? Yeah, but are we actually going to get it? How many times are we going to have to fly? Like it's like rolling the dice.
Well, you get up there and they say we're going to Pisa. You say I'll go tomorrow.
I'm sorry, that's unacceptable that you're going to get me where I'm going several hours late without flying it nonstop. Please rebook me until tomorrow. I can't wait to see you try to negotiate that with an Italian check-in agent cause.
I'd probably start it in the London side. I wouldn't be stupid enough to try this on the Italy side.
Yeah.
Hey, loves.
Yeah.
I hear you're not flying to Florence today.
Is that like a trip in vain before you actually even start the trip?
Yeah.
Wait, but we're going to get you there just an hour late. No. I needed that line. I don't think it's going to work.
I'm not going to Pisa. Yes, sir, but it's just an hour away. But I don't want to go there.
But I'm unable to ride on buses. In reality, I'm actually completely mental. I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to get your rebooking. I think, it's a different type of rebooking. It involves a padded room.
You're like, I really, really wanted to fly into Florence. Why, sir? I just need to. Ooh, okay.
Because I'm crazy.
I mean, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. Well, I think that's a show, gentlemen. We got some bonus topics. We're going to talk a little bit about Seth's experience going to Europe and Ryanair and some United news and dropping some routes. So stick around for that if you're a Patreon subscriber. If not, thank you for listening and happy travels. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Catch you next time.